So the first step of Eightfold Path was the right understanding. The second step was the right thinking. And the third step is the right speech. And if you have noticed, Buddha isn't really telling us what we should be doing. He's telling us what are the unwholesome things that we need to abstain from, and whatever is the leftover is the wholesome, right? The same thing he's talking about, he's telling us in the right speech that there are four kinds of speech which are unwholesome, and we need to abstain from that, right? What are these four kinds of unwholesome speech? The first one is lying. So Buddha is saying the instruction is that do not lie. Yeah, do not lie. That is the first kind of unwholesome speech. Why do not lie? So the underlying principle here is again the cause and effect. Our actions are not independent. What I speak doesn't end there. It creates the fruit, right? It creates the fruit in terms of my external environment, and it also creates the fruit in terms of my internal environment, right? So in terms of lying, and why do I lie, first of all, right? So in terms of lying, one intention can be that I want to deceive other person, right? The underlying defilement is the greed. I want something, so I am telling the lie so that I can deceive other person and get it, right? So in that case, my underlying defilement is the greed, and if I acted or if I spoke out of it, then I'm multiplying my greed, right? The next time I will have even more stronger urge to speak out of the greed, right? So that could be the underlying one of the underlying defilement. Because of that I'm speaking the lie. And another underlying defilement could be something like fear, right? I'm afraid that people will judge me, people will ridicule me, I will lose my reputation, things like that. So out of the fear I'm lying, right? And in that case I'm just going to keep getting more and more afraid. I'm just keep going to multiply my intent of fear, and that's going to create a destructive state of mind. Yeah, so these kind of intents are behind a lying, right? It's not the lying that is important or not important. This underlying defilements are very important, right? Because those defilements are going to be multiplied every time I lie. Okay, so that can be the underlying, that could be the effect of lying in terms of my internal state, right? How it is disturbing my internal states. And in terms of external environment, if I'm lying and I'm trying to deceive other people, or if I'm lying because of fear or whatever, people are not stupid, right? People can see through these things, and it creates a very disharmonious kind of external environment, right? People will stop trusting you, people will try to take the revenge and these sort of things, right? So you create a very disharmonious external environment when you lie, right? So that is the first kind of unwholesome speech, lying, right? And again, it's not like the act of lying itself is so much important. It's like, what are the underlying causes? Because of that I'm lying, right? Maybe just lying to save some time out of a salesman isn't really so much disturbing, but lying because of these greed and fear and all these kind of underlying defilement can create a very disturbing state inside and outside. Okay, so that's the first kind of a unskillful speech, or that is the first kind of unwholesome speech that Buddha is referring to, not lie. The second kind of unwholesome speech is don't use the harsh words. So even if you are speaking the truth, speak it softly. Yeah, and again, there can be times when when you feel righteous, right? I have to speak the truth, right? Even if we probably have seen these kind of conversation before, right? Where my intent is not really to speak the truth. My intent is to actually hurt other person, right? My intent is either anger or hatred or something like that, through which I'm speaking, and what I'm speaking is truth actually. But my intent is basically to harm and hurt other person, right? And then I'm justifying myself that I have to speak the truth, what to do, right? So that kind of a speech Buddha is saying is unwholesome speech, right? Your word shouldn't be directed to harm, and your word shouldn't be harsh or abusive, right? Your word should be soft and caring. And another thing Buddha mentioned is like, your speech should be truthful. So these are some causes and conditions. When you find that these conditions are being matched, then you should speak the truth. So he says, your speech should be truthful, your speech should be beneficial for other person, and it should be spoken in the right time and with the soft words, right? If these conditions are being met, then you should speak, regardless of how it will be taken from the other people, right? Received from the other people. Whether other people welcome it or unwelcome it, you should speak then, right? Truthful word, beneficial for other person, spoken softly and timely. Those are the right conditions. So yeah. So here in the second aspect of the unskillful speech, second aspect of the wrong speech is don't use the harsh words. Speak truthfully and speak softly. The third aspect of the unwholesome speech is don't talk maliciously, right? Don't. An example here can be gossip, right? Don't do these kind of conversation. Don't do this kind of malicious talking. That you kind of heard something, you have somebody trust you, he tells you something, maybe private, and then you heard it, and then you put some spices and tell it to somebody else, and now these two people are fighting with each other, right? Or you just destroy somebody else's reputation in front of somebody else, something like these, right? So these kind of gossiping is not wholesome, that Buddha is saying, right? So you should abstain and refrain from these sort of speech. The fourth and the final kind of unwholesome speech is this could be hard for some people, that you should avoid chit-chatting and idle talking, right? You shouldn't waste time in chit-chatting and idle talking. And it is coming, if you see, it is coming from the right understanding, right? The Buddha isn't according to Buddha, you need to do some really big job here, right? Currently your state of mind, currently the way you are living your life is what Buddha is saying is suffering, right? And you need to get out of it. It is possible to get out of it, and Buddha is directing people towards nirvana, or kind of a state of being which is free from all kind of suffering, right? So there's a lot of work you need to do, right? And you shouldn't be wasting time in idle talking and chit-chatting. Another thing is that conversation doesn't end there, right? When I'm just talking meaninglessly, and when I'm just doing idle talking or chit-chatting, that kind of stuck in my mind, right? So when I come back home, now I'm thinking about it. I shouldn't have said that, I should have said that. All these kind of thoughts are going on inside my mind, right? So it takes a space in our mind, and it doesn't produce any kind of meaningful fruit. Yeah. So these are the four kind of unwholesome speech that Buddha is saying that we should abstain from. Do not lie, do not use the harsh words, no malicious talking, and no idle and chit-chat kind of talking. Yeah. And whatever is left over, when we abstain from that, is wholesome speech.